approach that hits early enough, that has a lot of potential, and that can still lead to those later game transitions. So that is kind of what I want to see from DisK. Try to somehow secure an advantage early on so that he can try to defeat this absolute beast. In the bottom left-hand side, it is for the Shopify Rebellion, the Queen of Blades, Scarlett.
And her opponent in the Northeast, spawning in as the blue Protoss player, he is DisK. Well, yeah, I mean, look, you got to take some risks. There needs to be some way that you try to find an edge, to take advantage of something in whatever form it may come. I do want to call back to Skillous versus Serral, because I think it was one of the coolest things we've seen somebody attempt, but just that straight up double expo to the third and fourth at the same time. Obviously, that's a very Stargazers thing to do, but I want stuff in that vein. You know, yes. I think that you can try to be like, oh, well, you know, if Scarlett's got the ping and she sometimes isn't always consistent, it's like, we're in the bracket stage. I think a lot of that gets ruled out here. She, you know, when we talk about Scarlett slipping up or making mistakes, it's usually in the grand finals of one of these NA events. And we're like, you know, it is tough for her to win it all, isn't it? And then we remember that for most humans, that's how it's supposed to be. So at this stage, she is generally I believe you said it best, an unstoppable monster. And I think that is a compliment when you play a race of, well, I mean, basically just giant crustaceans that eat everything. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, I mean, Scarlett has a lot of experience, like a lot of the, I guess, Western meta, just to encase the EU and NA together in StarCraft 2 was often developed from the top, right? Like trying to reach the later stages and then work your way down to aggression and fine tune there. Whereas in Korea, it's often been the opposite, where people started with aggression and still retain that kind of element to where they're always looking for the punishments. And I feel like Scarlett, whilst being Canadian and from North America, she's always looked to the Korean style. And even, you know, she has for a long time lived in Korea and been immersed in the Korean ladder and with her opponents and with the preparation of the GSL and all that entails. So she is the type of player, even if you watch her stream, right? Like she'll be like, oh, that's an illegal move. Like, you can't do that. I'm just going to punish it. I'm just going to kill you. And that's what's scary too, right? Because in Skillous versus Serral, yeah, Skillous does get kind of away with that fourth base very fast. But I think Scarlett would be like, no, if I all in you right now, you know, let's see if you can hold it. And that is the scary prospect there from the Queen of Blades. Is she's very flexible and very powerful in the early and mid game.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things is you mentioned style, and that's something that Scarlett has always had. You know, I think both of us, this is one of the reasons why we're good friends, Cats, is we love the strategical angle of the game, and we like to challenge those sort of established norms for what should or shouldn't work. And Scarlett has been a player like that. That has been one of the things that she's been known for, thinking all the way back to the era of the conversation about, well, is this European style of ZVZ better than what the Koreans are doing when they were all still on roaches? And I'm like, well, wasn't Scarlett kind of doing some of this stuff for a little while? This is kind of what she's been making her bread and butter out of, and that's something that she's always kind of been a little bit ahead on. So, Ling's coming through, and that adept. Yeah, Scarlett's Ling control, also something that she has always been known for. But anyway, all of that to say, Scarlett's a great player to watch because of that.
She is.
You never know what she's going to do, and you know that whatever she trusts herself to do will be something that she is good at executing. So even if it seems a little odd. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
she is making a lot of overlords this time around all at once. So she hit a tiny bit of a supply block, but she's going to fix it with 5 overlords all at once. So maybe a little bit susceptible to, say, any forms of all in early on. But if that doesn't happen, it's not going to impact the game state too much to be 28 supply ahead of where she needed to be at this point in time. She is going for the +1 million. this really speaks to the flexibility that she also adapts to in terms of the meta. Like, I remember less than a year ago, I was going for +1 melee builds pretty often, and she would be like, why? Like, what does that accomplish? And I'm like, you know, it does some things, and I like it because of this and that, but she didn't like it. And, you know, like a little bit later, she's like, yeah, I guess in this meta, I am going to switch, and I am going to start going for this +1 melee openings in the PvC. And it makes more sense now than ever because of this very gateway heavy styles that we've been seeing from Protoss. So yeah, it's awesome to see her adapt and be reactive and change her mind as we are entering now the US Air Force Aim High split camera that everyone in the chat loves. Hearts in the chat.
Yeah, Ling's coming in over towards the third base mineral line. The shield battery not ready just yet. And, you know, that's kind of a crazy situation. We've got that Adept upgrade, but it's not done. The Ling upgrade's not done. Has to recall the Oracles to defend against this. But as they continue to burn through their energy, the probes are still getting ripped to pieces. This is exactly the kind of stuff that you can expect out of the average Scarlett game. She will poke and prod. And was that like a 40 Ling flood to kill the base? No. It just happened to be a perfectly timed 12 Ling little zip zap Zooparoo, and now another one comes through. That +1 melee almost done for her, but I guess don't need it if you've already killed every single worker, and she's continuing to just go to town.
Jeez. Yeah, and this is exactly what I was talking about, because in the very series of Serral versus Skillus, I was talking about this, right? Like where Skillus moved out with his oracles, and I thought, okay, Serral maybe could look to punish that in a future game. Scarlett is ready off the bat in game 1, right? She's like, if you move out with your oracles, I'm going to punish it because, again, that's an illegal move. But now DisK with a counter offense, and I don't think Scarlett even has roaches or a Baneling Nest, and this is a ton of adepts that is taking Scarlett by, so it's a lot. I'm not sure about the shade on forward, but she's going to take it for the time being, and let's see if it's enough. The Lynx are not going to be able to contend with this many adepts. The Queens are doing what they can, but they're nearly out of transfuse at this point in time. The adepts are going to cancel the shade. One of the Lynx will proc the forward oracle thingy, whatever it's called right now. I can't remember.
Those Queens were just screaming Hodor, trying to buy as much time as possible. The +2 melee is coming, but that's a long ways away. The Hydra Den finished, but even then you're like, unupgraded Hydras against resonating glaive adepts. How well does that match up? She wants to just use the Lynx to clean it because she knows investing in anything else is going to eat up too much of her resources, but 6 Banelings are on the way here too. There's no Bane speed, man. These adepts have really done a number. I love seeing stuff like this. Very committed, very aggressive attack by DisK. I think this is exactly what you need to do against somebody who loves Zerglings. There were certainly some moments here where Scarlett maybe could have tried to get a read on it, but she was killing the probes. So now the shoe is on the other foot.
Absolutely, and this has been fantastic. An additional 15 workers will fall, and that is kind of the trap that you can fall into. If you are Scarlett, you just lost a lot of drones. You want to make drones, but is there another wave coming? And in the case of this, he is saying, yeah, there's another wave and another one after that. I'm not sure that this one's gonna serve him well enough. I'm not sure that he needed this third wave of the 6 adepts. But he definitely accomplished what he set out to do there, as he's going to sit now evenly in terms of workers with Scarlett, who is now heading into Hydras and Banelings. So this is the now scary part for DisK. Is he going to be able to stabilize? Is he going to be able to get the tech out to deal with this? Archons are going to help against both Lynx and Zerglings. The Adepts are going to help against Zerglings should they survive the Banelings, but you really want something like Disruptors to really have a catch-all against both Hydras and Banelings off creep. Because I am almost sure that Scarlett is going to try to make something happen with this. She is just not the type of player to take a punch to the face and let it go.
No, Scarlett's never been a player to sit back and just let those blows land. We saw with the Ling run by early on that this is what she likes to do. Let's not forget, with that +2 melee, she could even just do a couple of cheeky Baneling run-bys. We might even be able to see an Overlord drop or something crazy like that. I think we'd all love to see just a little bit of that special Scarlett flair that we've come to know and love, as she's going to be going in for the read with a Changeling dropped inside of DisK's main. He does have some Archons poised outside in case the Lings come back, but you know, this is that moment where she can really take the map control now that the Adept phase is over and those very well upgraded Zerglings can eat the map.
Yeah, so Storm on the way. I love to see that, right? That's going to be really good, especially for the defense of a creep. So if this can get to the Storm before Scarlett actually engages here, that will be fantastic. And these 3 Zealots, look at the minimap. The entire army of Scarlett is actually turning its back to deal with this. which is wonderful for this, because if we look at the production tab, that is exactly the amount of time that he needs to buy for his own storm. So if Scarlett doesn't get turned around for those 3 zealots, she hits a wonderful timing as it stands. DisK with a chance to defend here and maybe turn the tides, maybe even get a massive advantage in the game if Scarlett does commit, and as we can see on our screen, that is very much her intention at this point in time.
Yeah, this is it's a very dangerous moment too, because those rocks are a huge problem. So you absolutely want to make sure that you're not getting caught off guard while the zealots are going to find the banelings. But it's like, oh wow, we found eggs from some weird aliens, and then the next thing you know, they're bursting out of your chest because they're designed to counter you. So I guess that at least protects the probes. But these banelings will go in from the north. 3 of them, 2 left. Only takes one. Only takes one.
Can we get a shot of that? I think Scarlett stopped looking at it. Nice. That could have been every probe dead
28
there.
probes still died anyway, but sometimes it do be like that.
Yeah. The banelings are gonna struggle to go past a single stalker. However, I mean, one of those can kill millions of probes, but you need like I don't even know how many, like way too many banelings to get past a stalker, especially if there's shield batteries around. So this will kind of stabilize. I mean, this is not the worst situation for him. He is at 57 workers, but has a pretty scary army still.
Yeah. And another Bane train comes rolling through. Unfortunately, did not actually get to replace all of those probes, so there's not as many left to kill this time, and they're just going to run on home as the Prism gets sniped. No scope by those queens.
Those banelings are just leaving. I mean, those banelings are F2'd or something of the sort. They're just, I don't know where they're going. They could have killed all of the static defense. Remember where they started was on the other side of the map, basically. And they ran through 2 bases of DisK and kind of forgave a lot of probes or that static defense that was concentrated there in the shield battery and the cannons that could have made this consequent attack a lot stronger. Now we still have those cannons and the shield batteries. Again, those could be dead from those banelings, but that's going to buy DisK a little bit of time to reposition his army. However, it is quite out of position, so some more probes likely to fall here. 5 have already fallen indeed, and the Lynx are trying to look for ways into the main, but they will get stormed with that stalker that has been holding the door for now years. And DisK, even in supply, has weathered the storm to some degree, but Scarlett has wave number whatever that is in the shape of lurkers, and those are pretty scary. We went over this in the game of Serral versus Hyllos earlier today as well. Not much of a response on the ground.
Yeah, and it's been a brutal one. Big storm onto the Lynx. I like that. I don't think there's a bad thing to use it on, because we know Scarlett is going to use those Zerglings. Anything that survives is probably going to be inside of his mineral line if he leaves it behind anyway. So gets the wrap up on the Zealots on the bottom, and this is where we just see that classic Scarlett gameplay. It's so difficult to get around, and kudos to DisK. He has a big army. He has accumulated a very vast amount of technology and a good little resource bank, but this has still very much so been a classic Scarlett experience over here. That wall on the 3rd base I do like a lot.
Yeah, but now the lurkers are here, and those rocks are broken as well. So Scarlett's going to siege with the Hydras and have the lurkers to retreat to shoot DisK, look to pursuit here. DisK is trying to go for a little bit of a counter offense, and if he knows that there are lurkers on that ramp, he needs to split his army. Oh, the lurkers are merciful gods there as they actually unburrow at a good time for DisK to not lose those Templars. He will spot them as well, so he has now the full information of the amount and quality of Scarlett's army. Yet still, he is choosing to move out, knowing the positioning is maybe favorable for him, as Scarlett is going to struggle to get back into position to defend, but just in time she does. And damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, this is a crazy another counterattack, and we just continue to see these being the plays that Scarlett makes. If you want to cross the middle of the field, she will be making you pay for it. And in some way or another, it's going to be the Lings, the Banes, or little lurker run by. It does not matter. You will not be able to leave your base without worrying about what is coming for you on the other side. That is just
Carnage.
I mean, this is what we've been watching Scarlett play StarCraft 2 for a long time, and you know, this is, I'm going to say this with the absolute best intentions, a lot of the games look the same, cats, because someone tries to move out an attacker and boom, she is all over them. 15 probes are left. He's only got 15 probes, and his whole army is alive. So this is it. I mean, if you got money, you can drop a couple more warp-ins and get as close to max as you can on no economy. Do it. A move. Die. Get ready for the next one.
These poor Templars, I mean, there's Banelings chasing them. There's lurkers waiting for them on the other side, and DisK has to find an angle. He knows it. He's going for it, but you're going up against lurkers. It ain't going to be easy, so let's see what he can accomplish. I would wager not much. It's looking more and more difficult here for the Canadian Protoss.
He can't tappy toes around it. He has 3 probes. Okay, yeah. GG. Scarlett takes game number 1.
Yeah, I applaud that GG. I mean, it's impossible to engage into those lurkers with such short-ranged units and not into an open field, right? Like, that is where, if you are DisK, your army quality is not complete garbage against lurkers because you have so many Immortals and Archons if you can get a 360s around. But when Scarlett just killed all of your economy and it's just waiting to absorb, you just can't attack into them, right? Like, you need different answers. You need to transition into carriers. Again, disruptors are probably the best answer to the lurkers, but the problem is, for lurkers to be useful, you usually want the hive as a Zerg player, and that means you have access to Vipers, which are the hardest counter to the disruptor itself. So it's tough. They're a very strong unit, the lurker, and yeah, Scarlett putting them to beautiful use there.
Yeah. And again, just how often do you see a player go for a Zergling focused strategy, run smack dab into a resonating glaive adept rush, and not only be able to get these kinds of counterattacks, clean out the mineral line of the third before the push even hits, and then actually hold on and not only survive and hold the attack, the big attack that it was, a lot of adepts, and then win the game and do it with a lot of lings still anyway. Like, it's just crazy. These are exactly the things that we've come to expect from Scarlett. It's what makes her such a fan favorite.
Yeah, no, I completely agree because, yeah, I mean, I've played so many games where I want to go into links and, you know, if they get Resonating Glaive Adepts, it's so very difficult to stop, right? They are just kind of the hard counter. So yeah, for Scarlett to make it work just through beautiful positioning and making a few extra queens and not taking any huge shortcuts there in spite of not really being ready with the Baneling Nest or the Roach Warren, just absolutely beautiful. And yeah, I mean, she is leading the series for that reason, 1-0. She is playing for the Shopify Rebellion. She is Scarlett.
And her opponent in the Northwest, the blue Protoss player. I would like to see him try to stick with something aggressive again. He is DisK.
Yeah, he did good. He did good.
Oh, yeah. So, Cats, can I just run something by you real quick?
Of course.
I feel like it was a missed opportunity to not make, like, you know how you have the UV lamps that kind of like catch the bugs and zap them? I feel like it was a missed opportunity to not make an Archon skin where the Archon is just that, you know, like it's UV light coming out because it's so good against biological.
Is it easy to display? Do you think that would be easy to communicate?
Oh, of course.
The UV light of the Archon?
Yeah, everybody knows it. Just literally make it a walking UV lamp. I mean, basically already is anyway.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So what? Just like a purple-ish?
Yeah, kind of like maybe you kind of give him more of an hourglass shape instead of a ball. I can't. Nothing is ever going to be worse than the
and UV lamps
stalker
like yeah, but I'm not so familiar with the reference actually. UV lamps actually like kill insects.
Yeah, well you've not.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you know what? This is the problem. I gotta take you out into the back into the woods in Pennsylvania and show you what the woods people do to survive. But we've got all sorts of hijinks for dealing with bugs. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I usually just have a bug catcher. That's been of great.
Yeah, that'll do it too.
Yeah. Like a little, you know, it opens its bristles and then it captures the bug and then you just release it into the wild or flush it down the toilet. Your choice.
Okay. As soon as you started saying bristles, and I'm like, do you just have a Venus flytrap in your house? Because that's, I mean,
Venus flytrap. I am not familiar with that one.
That's the plant. That's the plant that eats things.
That's the Mario plant. Yeah. Right? Is it not?
That's a real thing.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to own one. Those things are all designed to give off the smell of like rotting meat, though, because that's how they trap. That's how they trick the bugs. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Those are not. They actually don't smell very good. Is one of the. Yeah, because they're trying to get all those nasty ones there. I don't like those. I used to have nightmares about. It's not the Venus flytrap, but there's another one that's just like a giant bowl. It's like just like a giant, very deep bowl that they just go into and they just slip and they can never get out. And,
that's so sad. That it's just like sticky or something. Or
the inside of the plant is basically its stomach. Like you just go in there and you just get digested.
I don't want to know.
How horrible
Let's watch
is that?
the Zerg instead. They are less gross.
What's the diff? That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway.
All right.
If we could throw all the Zerg in there, they would probably get
look
stronger.
at that.
Oh, Dark Shrine.
Look at that. Dark Shrine and kind of an aggressive follow-up as well, potentially, as far as the number of gateways here. So DisK trying to bait Scarlett here with one of the more standard openings. Scarlett is also going to check the gases at the natural because she's an excellent player. But that might work against her as now DisK takes 1 and 2. So that's a little bit more of a giveaway that there is more tech on the way. So DisK trying to fake out potentially the Adept pressure, I would imagine, into the Ts. Or maybe it's going to be just the classic Archon drop to start us off here. Haven't seen that one in a while.
Yeah, I would not mind that. I would not mind that. You mean you can always do the gut check with the DTs, and then if it doesn't work, that's fine. Make sure you don't lose them, of course, and then just bring them on back and turn them into Archons. Then you can do exactly like you were saying. But it's a build that just has like the built-in 2 parts to it. So I do like that idea here. So there you go, 3 DTs right in vision of the Overlord, so that Scarlett can see and prepare. So she will definitely not be caught off guard. She has the Spore repositioning so that it has a better coverage of that space, and there you go.
Yep. So now DisK has to find the space to morph those into Archons potentially. Instead, he's going to double check and make sure that there's nothing going on in the main. The Spore is kind of exposed, and DisK is going to leap on that opportunity. I love that he did that. I don't love it so much from Scarlett to reposition her Spore out into the wild. And now DisK, knowing that this is a lair, knows that there isn't the potential for Overseers to be morphed. So he's going to go for it. But as he sees the Spore morphed in, or rooted rather, planted down in a sensible location from Scarlett, very smart from her, he is going to be forced to pick up and still gets 5 drones for his trouble. So well done by both players. Maybe except from that Spore position from Scarlett was pretty daring, the first one.
Yeah. And now can turn them into the Archons. So hey, pretty good there. It's always like the riskiest thing. You go in, you dive onto the Spore Crawler, and you're either going to get some cash money value or you basically throw in the game. So I definitely like to see that, and now he can go in and continue to bring that pressure and try to harass and even grab himself a cheeky Overlord here. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby indeed. So that is pretty cool. Scarlett's going to be ready for the follow-up here, however, with both Queens and a Spore and Roaches should she need those. And now she's transitioning into a very fast infestation pit. This could very well be Swarm Hosts on the transition, though her creep rate isn't amazing just yet. So here comes our U.S. Air Force split. So you can see both players are very intent on moving their pieces around the map.
Yeah, and this is definitely a crucial moment where that Prism can generate a lot of value if you can find some spaces to get the poking and prodding done. But it's just so difficult because when you're against Scarlett, you really need to make sure that every time you move out, you need to know that she is waiting for you to do that. Like, her thought process is that when she sees that you are focusing your attention on trying to attack her, she knows that she can multitask well enough to harass you and defend herself. But she knows that most people struggle to do that. Multitasking is one of the hardest things a human can do. Some studies would say you can't even actually do it, and we just have to do one thing at a time very quickly. So that's where she gets you with the backstab, and it becomes so tough to deal with. And I do it like this, getting a little bit funky fresh. 15 Swarm Hosts, Paolo.
Yeah, you love to see it. And the creep spread is improving a little bit. If this can keep tabs on that, then that reduces the efficacy of Swarm Hosts by a good degree, right? Because they really want to get out on the map and onto the other side. You don't want defensive Swarm Hosts. So if there isn't that creep launch pad, Scarlett's going to be looking for a Nidus or something like that to make this work. So if this can identify this and stop that Swarm Host move out, that will be fantastic. The Queens, of course, would want to be near the front, but Scarlett has identified that this didn't open with a Stargate. So there's very little that threatens the Swarm Hosts, where the Swarm Hosts can't really fight back, where the Queens are necessary, right? So the first attempt is coming up here. Is there a shield battery? There is. Very important.
Yeah, so the Worm Host. So that first attack gets to come in, and this is often described as the most important wave of Locust is going to be that first one. You usually want to try and catch somebody off guard, but with Scarlett, we know that it's also just going to turn into an endurance race. She will not miss the opportunity to continue to apply this pressure. But usually the downside of the Swarm Host is that they are not great defensively, but as long as your opponent is inside of their base, you can do so much damage with them. And it's a psychological aspect too, because people are like, oh my god, it's 3 units, and then they don't realize that, like, if you could just get across the map, you could probably kill them. But Scarlett does the other thing really well too, which is make you look one place while she attacks in another, and that's a lot of Zerglings in the main, in the natural, in the back pocket base, and the Ravagers are just dumping biles onto that Nexus. It is very, very low, and let's of course not forget those Swarm Hosts are going to reload very soon.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a beating so far of a game, as Scarlett now has creep spread right outside of DisK's 3rd/4th base here at the front. She's going and gunning down with those piles for the Warp Prism. Gonna miss this time around, as the army has to stand in front of the Nexus to protect it, but that just means you're also losing army. The probes were already oversaturated at the natural expansion, and now they're moving to the main so that they can die there instead, I guess. And yeah, I mean, Scarlett hasn't made additional Swarm Hosts, so this kind of war of attrition that was the playstyle when the Swarm Hosts first assumed this particular modality of now having the flying locusts and whatnot many years ago, like something that kind of Rogue was doing a lot back then, right? Dark to a good degree. It has kind of evolved to where you just get the first wave of, or the first clump of Swarm Hosts, and you just reinforce with normal army, and then you use the locusts consistently to, you know, tank and to basically use them as a shield for the rest of your army sitting behind it, and see what value you can get from that and create more chaos. So yeah, it's a pretty difficult dance to dance here for DisK, and it's proving nearly impossible, as he has to continue to sit his army in front of this Nexus. Beautiful blink back, however, baiting the Swarm Host to land with that one single Stalker, but that's not going to be enough to save the base. However, a massive Disruptor shot.
Juicy.
Juicy indeed.
And a Lurker Den behind it. So Scarlett's going to continue to pressure this base. Smites it down again with another wave of Biles. And the Locust in this map, this is just a really great position. I mean, how are you going to try and jump on this? On creep, they move pretty quick. So the creep is there. Scarlett has all the time in the world to apply this pressure. And unless DisK can do something big, there's not many ways to make her send these units home. That Prism might be able to do the trick, but look at this, stepping a very far forward and like, okay, well, I think she wanted to send them up into the main there. Scarlett! Scarlett!
Scarlett! Oh, that's why. Good moves from DisK here, not just taking the beating that we are painting here, but instead trying to make something happen on the other side of the map, and that's going to net him an advantage on the engagement against those Swarm Hosts. At least will force him out of that very annoying position for the time being. He needs a lot more than that. However, as this next Disruptor shot is going to clip a Roach and a Ravager, and the next one is not going to find anything. But yeah, here comes the next wave of Locust from Scarlett, who is amassing a bank as well, whilst DisK doesn't even have the production to spend his money for the time being. So different sets of problems, but things are all looking very, very good for the Queen of Blades here.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this just feels like everything's gone our way. And the thing about the Swarm Host is that when you generate value off of them, well, now you can bank up, because your supply, it gets very inflated. You can't really build much else when you have a lot of Swarm Hosts. But this is like literally the best case scenario, is that you've got wave and wave and wave of Locusts, and now you have enough resources that even if a few of them die, you can very easily replace them with much more efficient units, or something that can actually end the game a little bit better. But given enough time and the lack of income that DisK has, or I mean, the Swarm Host will eventually do it. He's drowning in the blood of the Locusts as the creep is spread all the way up to the main, almost under that cliff.
Yeah, Knight is now being added on the side of Scarlett, as well as a Viper to account for the Disruptors. And like you see, the upgrade, and like you mentioned earlier as well, the upgrades for the Lurkers are making their way into the game. So expect some Hydras to be made soon. The complexity is improving for Scarlett, and the supply is staying around the same, and the complexity is staying around the same for DisK. So if you want to see this kind of like, you know, start taking an advantage, if you're looking for that edge, if you're rooting for DisK, then you gotta look at that supply. It needs to continue to tick up. If he can stabilize, get close to maxed, then he will lose less every time that there is a wave of locusts and there is potential, because the swarm hosts are so hefty in terms of supply, for him to try to make something happen. The problem for him is going to be that Scarlett is not just doing this. She's not just relying on this working. She has a follow-up, and it's a good one.
Yeah, and now the locusts have made it into the main base. That is, I think that's enough to kill the Nexus somehow, some way. Goodbye, Nexus.
Goodbye, Nexus. Couple of queens here at the front getting a little bit too brave for their own good. Sad.
Yeah, this is brutal. This is brutal to watch, cats. Scarlett is playing with the food a little bit. Feels like this is still a pretty big army that DisK has been able to put together, but he hasn't been able to leave his base in forever. Now he finally does off the Prism, getting a little bit more harassed. The Zealots going to that south side, but Scarlett is going to defend this attack and has the Nidus Worm popping out in front of DisK's base. So those Swarmos can launch another wave and come home if they need to, or she can just bring them home right now and use the Locust Wave to defend. But there is the Lurker Burrow right under the Stalkers. And that'll do it. GG.
Yeah, I mean, completely nasty. I love the Nidus there as well towards the tail end, because like you were mentioning, the Swarmos can continue with the pressure, and also you can just defend, and if you defend, you can just cross the map. And she set herself a very similar win condition as last game as well with the Lurkers. Just having those defensively, you need a lot more supply than they are worth basically to breach, right? So beautiful game through and through from Scarlett. It never really felt like she was under a lot of danger there.
Yeah, that's Scarlett. Scarlett has a lot of experience tormenting Protoss players. She put him in the box that game. Not a fun place to be, by the way. Absolutely not.
The box?
Yeah, the box.
You've been in the box.
Well, I have seen the Hellraiser movie. So, pal, you want to know what it's like to be tormented? Go watch those. Don't show your kids. But we're going to Inside and Out for game 3. And Scarlett is up 2-0. Great Halloween movie, cats. Great Halloween movie.
Halloween movies. I don't know if there's any scary movie that I thought was super good. The Conjuring, I thought was pretty good. Did you watch that one?
I think
The Conjuring.
Maybe.
Didn't we watch it at the Root House? We watched it like with multiple people, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was okay. It was okay. Kind of blends in. You know, I think I've made enough Saw references this season. I can't go back to that. So Hellraiser's pretty good. If you want good, funny, bad ones, Wishmaster's up there. Obviously Scream, great. You know, the original's a classic. And I don't know. People have been telling me the new Halloween movies aren't that bad either. But honestly, I don't think I've ever been into that specific franchise. So.
Wait, which one? Oh, you're not willing
that's
to promote
what I mean.
There's
There's a lot of them. Like, if you're gonna get me to commit like that, you know, I'm gonna. You got to be getting the popcorn and root beer sort of thing.
I love it. All right. Well, perhaps for the final time today, this could be our final game. In the top right-hand side, she is, for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett.
And in the bottom left, we have the blue Protoss player. He is DisK.
Very nice guy as well. DisK formerly had the best beard in StarCraft, now has one of the better beards, I would say still, but
yeah, it's pretty good, pretty high level. I think it's very complimentary to the hair. You know, when you're talking about a little bit of style, a little bit of fashion, it's that facial hair, especially if you're gonna rock the bangs, it has to complement it a little bit, right? If you're gonna let the bangs hang out a little, like I do, you know, you try to keep it trim, try not to let it out too much. I think he does a good job of that. He's got a good wave going on,
for sure.
You know, kind of coifs over to his left side.
I know.
I like to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely got some good good looks. That's for sure.
No doubt. And yeah. His probe is going to be harassing here the mineral line until it doesn't have a leash in terms of just shields. So then it will go back to heal back up, or maybe just pull back all the way. Usually you want to leave that probe to scout for the links and when they leave and where they go. So just going to regen the shields, poke back in, harass a little bit more perhaps. but sees that the pool is done. 2 links in production at the front here from Scarlett. Nothing out of the ordinary from either player here so far.
No. And the Adept there. Chat giving their horror movie suggestions, by the way. I'm going to give those a shout out. Yeah, The Ring. The Ring, definitely. I haven't seen the Korean version.
The Ring was good.
I thought The Ring was good. I think they did a sequel of that. I think I watched that, but I can't quite remember it. It's one of those go with the original sort of deals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Insidious. No, that was a comedy.
Insidious.
That movie was really bad. The movie was really bad.
It sounds very familiar.
No, there's one jump scare in the whole 90 minutes, and other than that, it's just a cliffhanger ending for the second movie. Literally nothing happens. I'm not exaggerating. Nothing actually happens in the entire movie.
Well, that's a little bit of a spoiler,
noises.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, I saved you from watching
spoiling,
it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I ruined it for you, so you don't have to sit through it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, even if somebody gives it to you for free, at least save the 90 minutes of your life. Go for a walk. Play a game of StarCraft where you build Stormos and contain someone for 20 minutes. Go for it.
Yeah. Someone said Twilight, like the vampire one. I like that one, actually.
No, I don't know if that really... It was scary, but I don't know if that was the angle they were going for. So Overlord comes in to scout and sees the Robo. So it is going to be a Robo Twilight opening again. And this could lean very easily into what we saw last game. A little bit of DTs, a little bit of drippy drops. Obviously, I got to say Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's it. This is my last cast. So we needed to finish up with the October memes.
For sure.
I got it out of my system. It's okay now. It's okay.
I mean, I love it. I've had so much fun today. It is indeed a long day at this point, right? Towards the tail end of it now we are. So, yeah, definitely, forgive, I guess, our you know, my head wanders for sure. Like, the longer the day goes, and it's a little bit harder to keep focused. But here we go, the Adepts. These are an important part potentially as they will trade against the Lynx. One of them will get picked off on the tail end as they also manage to pick off one of those creep tumors, not an essential one. Focus firing onto the drones is good from DisK as they now gravitate towards the third base to look for more damage. And they will find at least a drone. Maybe a second one could have been had there, but instead they turn their attention to the circlings and choose to evacuate. But Scarlett is on their tail.
Yeah, there's the Adepts getting recalled out. You definitely want to save as many. One of them does not get through, so only 2 Adepts saved. But that Resonating Glaives, like this kind of everything. This isn't that third base setup, and Scarlett has Lings blocking, so it won't be easy to just try and take a third with a move out here. I think maybe the probe will go, but if you're DisK, you're down 0-2. You need to hit with all your strength. You know what I'm talking about? Take the step forward, turn the hip as you release, and just let it rip.
Is that baseball that you're referencing?
I'm talking about how to put your body weight. You got to step into a throw or a punch. It works the same way, cats. You don't want to just use your arm. That's how you break something and not deal any damage.
All right. Well, he is looking to definitely twist here as a couple of queens have fallen. The Roach is a single beacon of light here for Scarlett, who is otherwise in a lot of trouble, but DisK not advancing as quickly as he could have, perhaps. So missing a few shots that could have been more dead drones. Will focus fire onto the spine, which is really nice because it will make it more easily accessible, that third for him, as he now focuses onto the hatchery itself whilst chasing some of these drones. I feel like he should have almost shaded towards the drones, but he's going to be content killing the hatchery either way. So this works out. This is a great start for him.
Yeah, gets the hatchery, and now they're both on 2 bases. It's typically a very good spot to be in if you're Protoss. Full PvP action, and the Dark Shrine follow-up is what I really love about this. Scarlett has a lair. She can get an Overseer, but in the chaos of all of this and everything that's happening, if that Prism is able to get through and take advantage of a momentary lapse where she is not prepared for it, there's no spores. There is no Overseer. She could make one, but why would she when she doesn't know? So there you have it.
No, and it feels really bad, to your point, to make Overseers without knowing that it is DTs because you're already behind. So Scarlett might just choose to, you know, she was probably gambling. Okay, it's not going to be DTs. It's not that it's completely escapes her mind or that she forgot that DTs are a thing necessarily.
She doesn't even have the gas to make an Overseer. She had to wait.
She has one
now. Wait, never mind. The other one came over. Okay.
Yeah, she spent it, but she was really low on gas, right? So this is the only one that she could make. So again, to your point, you can't really just make overseers when you're behind. You know, you just gotta gamble sometimes and be like, okay, well, I hope it's not DTs. If it's DTs, I'm dead. And that's probably the situation that she finds herself in. But we've seen her sneak out of worse situations in her career, that's for sure. So whilst this game isn't completely done yet, DisK has an overwhelming advantage.
Yes, for sure. This is a great spot to be able to put oneself in. And those spine crawlers that Scarlett had to build, it's like these are all things that were done to survive. But if we think about last game, you know, Scarlett was the one that was able to keep DisK on his side of the map. So now having these defensive structures, it's like, well, if she gets aggressive, then the value of those isn't really there. So Infestation Pit is coming. Roach Speed is finishing and +1 missile attack. So weirdly enough, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, Cats, but I think you might say it. So I'm going to let you.
I was just reading the chat for a second.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry because
okay.
They're talking about the Air Force memes.
Everybody's very. There's been a lot of good memes in chat. It's been a long day. Yeah. I'm scared about Swarm Hosts coming out again.
Yeah, some people are still.
People are upset. Apparently, I have some bad horror movie takes. That's okay. Shout out to Grammar for his Saw reference. Yes, Saw movie's fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Yeah, just commenting on the Air Force. As yeah, we love the split screen. I think we're all in agreement as far as I've checked, and that is a wonderful thing. But yeah, could it be Swarm Hosts at this point? It looks like it's gonna be a Hive instead. So Scarlett, yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is here, right? Like maybe just turtle lurkers and go from there. But it looks like DisK has no intention of letting that happen. I applaud his decision to move up.
Roach Ravager can do a lot, but I'm actually kind of surprised there. It does not let the Shades finish. I thought he might throw the Shades over there and bring the rest of the army to the third, because a kill on the third here would be game over, I think, unless Scarlett kills every single probe with the Sling Run by, which by the way, yeah, she's on the workers, so she's gonna have to step back. As you're talking about those force fields coming through, Spine Crawler is dead. The Biles have been raining down, but this is just so much supply for DisK, and he gets a warp in at home to defend it. So the Lings are killed. Only loses 11 probes, so still very even, but he has the third base to work with, and Scarlett needs her third.
Yeah, as long as you don't get hit by the best Biles in the world, you are fine in this situation. That one certainly is doing work, but Scarlett's gonna be forced to tap out.
Nice.
And DisK will give us a series. So that's good.
Beautiful. And that's really, really well done there. Finds a way to give himself that spot. And that's what I like too. Not trying to take the third with it. Just a big old adept push. And he's like, there you go. There you go. He's got to get up. Get up. Loosen up a little bit. That was a crazy one, a tense one. You're still in it, man. It's not over.
You're
it's not over till it's over. There is... If you believe that anything is possible, then this is one of those things. So just saying, this could be the start of his run back. We'll have to see how far he can take it. I'm gonna guess he'll need a second there. Next map will be Cosmic Sapphire, which gives us a lot of long games, so who knows?
This could be a long one. It could go all the way as well. It's gonna be up to DisK. At the same time, Scarlett, I mean, she can definitely extend her play to perhaps include Mutalisks. That would be cool on this map. Not something that we've seen her play much with today. And I was watching her stream yesterday. She was thinking about doing she proposed that she could maybe do Queens only to GM, which I refuted. I said that would not be possible, but she thinks it could be.
What's the difference between that and just playing Zerg, Cats? Sorry, I can't. Yeah. Well, she probably could. On an A? Yeah, easy.
Do you think so? I don't think so. I don't think she could. Just Queens. She then said, okay,
didn't a laser do it with just flow Lings?
Sandster did it with no gas. No gas is not just Queens. So it's Queens and Lings. Lings are good. I mean, yeah.
I think Scarlett could probably Nidus Queen her way to GM on it.
Right. Then she said, yeah, you can take that gas. So you can definitely Nidus. You can definitely get upgrades.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Doom drops. Yeah.
But at first she even said no spines or spores she wanted to include in there.
Well, see, that's ridiculous though, because
that is ridiculous. Yeah.
That's, I mean, putting a limitation on yourself that if your opponent opens a Banshee, you have to forfeit. Like, that's just dumb. So.
Right.
Like, why would you do that?
Or rush lair while going queen only. Yeah,
I can get tying one hand behind your back, but don't cut your hand off and just let it bleed. That doesn't. Absolutely. That does not. I don't. No, not a fan. Not a fan.
I am with you.
We've made it to game 4 here, so I actually just want to give a little kudos here to DisK. Feel like a lot of people counting him out, but he was able to find a way to get a dub in this matchup. And when we talk about players continuing to have growth season over season, that's what you want to see. It's, you know, he comes in, he's qualified, maybe he doesn't make it to playoffs, and we're like, okay, kind of cool that DisK made it here. Now it's like, okay, he's here in the playoffs, has a matchup that he's probably going to struggle to be able to win, but at the same time, he still picks up a map, and you can see that there's a clear growth that's happening here season over season. That's the best part about competition. It's the best part about watching it for me, is who is coming up, who's rising, who's making the improvements, and who has the confidence and the ability to center themselves enough to make those choices that they need to stay competitive. And we're seeing that DisK is a fighter. So I love it, because this could have been a 3-0. Nobody would have been surprised. Nobody would have even blamed him. But here he is pushing it to the limit, and he's in it to win it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I completely agree, because especially when you're the underdog, it's very easy to just give up after you're down 0-2, because now you have to win 3 very difficult games, right? So by give up, I don't mean don't play. I mean, like, just be dejected enough that you don't have your mind and your heart in it as much as you did at the start of the series. So it's good to see that DisK hasn't lost that, and that he's still willing to give it a fair shot and gets his first map as a reward for it. Now, can he bring it any closer? Because if he wins this one, we're no longer talking about a good job DisK, like you took a map. We're talking about you're in the deciding match, and if you win one more, you've got it. You've done it. You love it. You wear it.
It's good times. I'm a little bit I was gonna say just marginally less delirious today than yesterday. But I think that's I think you're kind of keeping me in there a little bit. You know, I get shy around Roddy sometimes, so it's a little more stressful for me. But this has been a very fun day doing some matches with you cats, and of course for everybody tuning in outside of our wild banters back and forth. This is the final series of the day. Playoff action resumes tomorrow. There'll be some more great folks over here bringing you the rest of this season, and then of course. I think in a couple of weeks, it'll be DreamHack Atlanta, where everybody's going to be able to really duke it out again, right? The players will all be with each other for the first time in a very, 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 very long time. At least in America, anyway, right? So
yeah, it's been forever.
Have not been a lot of NA time zone big events to watch. So if you're watching this right now, you're kind of falling in that bucket with us. I'm excited to have an NA time zone tournament to watch myself. So. It'll be a lot of fun. Should be a really great event.
I'm local to Atlanta, so I'll definitely be at the event as well myself. So anyone,
I'll just be posting about Saw movies in chat. So make sure you study up. Make sure you study up. The depths and the natural, though.
Yeah. Oh,
as the Oracle hits the main. DisK is, look at DisK. He's getting some damage here, man. Jeez. 8 drones by 420. That is a lot of workers to kill. 30 drones to 40 probes, cats. And don't even think about it. There's already another Oracle. He's going for the 3rd one. So if DisK can get this 3rd up, if this doesn't get canceled by the sling run by right now, then I'm ecstatic about this. I think this is still a little bit tricky. That is a lot of Zerglings to Scarlett.
Yes, indeed. And Scarlett could actually kill the Nexus or go for the Nexus instead of the Adept. If there was, 2 or 3 Adepts there, she could still find the surface area because of the position of the pilot not hugging the minerals, but instead hugging the Nexus, making the Adept a little bit further away. The Oracles are going to come and deflect the aggression, so the Nexus won't end up falling, of course. But yeah, I mean, I think after getting enough damage with the first Oracle, maybe this could have been okay to just rally the second one back and make sure that he's not taking any additional damage, because this number of links is damage that Scarlett is inflicting into herself in a different way, right? So it's working out pretty well for DisK, who is still keeping up nicely in the worker category.
Yeah, I think the only really bad thing that could have happened is if that 3rd base somehow gets canceled for any reason, even as unlikely as it may have been. That's just the other side of dealing all that drone damage. Scarlett probably feels like she wants to do something back, but now all she can really do is try to be as greedy as possible, right? Without dying to a follow-up. So now DisK can get on 3 bases, get his +1, get his blink, and these oracles come in quite a few more kills. One of them does die, so that hurts, but you know, it's compounding on the damage earlier. We've had 13 drones total killed this game.
Yeah, and you still got 2 oracles to work with, so you could go for more Rambuys or just use them for defensive purposes, right? As yeah, they're gonna be pretty good with stasis and whatnot throughout the game, and keep DisK safe, who is making a wonderful wall of as well. I always like to give props to Protosses who do this, because not every Protoss does this. But in a meta that is so heavily centered around those Baneling Rambuys, and with Scarlett having gone for those before and rushing for the +2 melee, this type of wall-off is just kind of essential in my book. It's so important to not get destroyed and surprised. It gives you so much more room and time to work with to evacuate.
Now that +1 melee is finishing for Scarlett. So if we think about the things that generally work for her, or that have worked for her, it's been a lot of those lings, you know, getting the run-bys, the surrounds. But even in that last game, even at the very bitter end when Scarlett had to tap out, she was still able to get in and to completely blow up all the drones, the probes in the natural of DisK. So it's not like she wasn't still able to do her little counterattack maneuver, and we expect her to still try that here. But DisK is in a much better position economically than he has been in any of the games so far. And this to me bodes well for him. I don't know that it's, you know, he's going to be able to pull the whole entire series back now, but that's mostly just because this map is huge. Scarlett, we know her for spreading her creep very well. She has done that. And maybe tip of the cap to DisK for stopping the creep from reaching the tower.
Yeah, that's definitely something, as the oracles are gonna go in and try to find additional drone damage, but will be met by enough queens that one of them will fall, unfortunately. And these are important for consequent move outs, especially if DisK wants to kind of center his aggression around the likes of Blink Stalkers. They oftentimes need a point to retreat to, and the oracles can provide that in multiple ways, through just their normal beams, or my god, that is like the most difficult spell name to remember, the Stasis Worthy. I'll just think of Worthy every time.
Yeah, the Stasis Worthy, exactly. You know,
here comes the Oracle, but you know, like, you wish you had 2. This is what I mean. Those Zerglings are gonna get on top of the Stalkers. They are dying a little bit slower than they would be otherwise, and a little bit of a link counter run by, but the wall off is gonna serve DisK nicely to where he can condense the rest of his forces there on the warping, negating a lot of the surface area. So things are still a-okay for DisK, who is 77 workers to 79 of Scarlett, and adding the signature unit that gives him his name, the Disruptor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. +2 melee is coming through as well. So those little Ling surrounds are going to become a bit more difficult to deal with. But DisK has kind of gotten to the army composition that he wants. He's got the disruptors coming out. +2 is almost done. Charge will help a lot with the Lings. The question, of course, being how much, since those Lings will deal a lot of damage. And he might have just gotten caught here, stepping a little too close to that gold
Rico,
base.
Perhaps.
Needs to wait for that next blink cooldown. He might be able to get away just
fine.
barely. Oh, the disruptor in the Link! Wow! He shoots. He scored 28 Zerglings with 1 Purification Nova. Okay.
I like it. And yeah, I mean, Scarlett still has a lot of links out on the map. DisK is ready to chase him around, though, as he's going to blink on forward, knowing that he has the Zealots to fall back to as well. So I'm not sure that Scarlett needed to take that engagement. I think she should have just kept running, but I understand the propensity to turn around there, as another shield battery overcharge will be ready here, and there's no Banelings whatsoever to threaten. So the lack of surface area is going to serve DisK well, as he lands another beautiful disruptor shot. Now the next one onto one of his stalkers, but that's of minor consequence, as the next one lands dead center again of the Link clump and takes a roach with it as well. Beautiful job on defense here from DisK, but Scarlett's not done. Now she's done.
This has been a nice little banger of a game, huh? DisK hanging in there, not taking the economic damage he has all series long, and Scarlett playing a little bit on the low tech side of things, but not able to get the engagement that she's looking for. She has a crazy economy, but has not been able to bring this army down just yet, Cats. And now DisK is able to really apply some big pressure on his own.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Banelings here, but Scarlett's kind of chasing out of creep here, just relying a lot on these links to kind of connect and find the surround onto the Stalker. It's not going to happen this time around. On the other side, Scarlett's trying to surprise DisK, but DisK is quick to it, and now he's going to blink back. 24 workers do fall at the third, as this was like a 3 or 4 pronged attack effectively from Scarlett. The Banelings are trying to find the Disruptors. The Stalkers will blink back to save their own lives, as they are known to be extremely selfish. And at the end of this, it's DisK with 51 workers to 78 of Scarlett, and him dropping in supply actually by a considerable margin. Also in army supply, he's not doing too hot, but you know, those roaches kind of inflate the supply, and the links are not Banelings yet, which means they're also not particularly expensive. So if we look at actual army value, it's DisK far ahead.
Yeah, it's a good force. The Disruptors have done a lot of work. Resources lost, currently favoring DisK by about 5,000 and counting, actually going up a little rapidly here on this attack. Is going to continue to blink back. More Lings are coming over though, and this is where you kind of get a little bit worried. If it's enough to start chewing through the Stalkers, it gets a little rough, but the blinks have been so good.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Scarlett kept reinforcing there and hasn't given up. A lot of the time you just reinforce and see, you know, like you're like, okay, this is my last attack and then I'll GG after. But no, she actually kept reinforcing for no good reason, it felt like, and this time around she's gonna struggle to make anything happen here. Archons will join the fight, which complicate things further for Scarlett's approach here. Very basic on the units. And yeah, DisK seems to be doing it. Now it's a clean victory by the looks of it, and we will go to a game 5, it looks like.
Oh. What a rush. DisK getting it done over here, looking fantastic. Just needs to make it through another one of these defensive setups for Scarlett, but the roaches cannot even all come together. They're getting caught off guard trying to rally down towards that third base. The roach warren itself is going to get deleted, which means no more roaches, no more transforming into Ravagers, and that is painful. GG. DisK ties it up. We're going to game 5, Cat.
Oh, baby.
Woo!
Love to see it. We love to see it. We have camera. That was odd.
Was that just on? Yeah, that's insane.
No, that was, I think everyone saw that. Where like I was not there. DisK's chair was there, and then the player cameras were. I liked it. Yeah, I mean that was an awesome game. This is an awesome series. It's an awesome day of StarCraft, and it's going all the way, baby. Are we going to a break, production? I want to say no, but maybe we are. I don't think so though. Do you guys want a break? Vote in the chat if you would like. You would like a.
There's a 3-minute delay. They can't. If the players want a break, then we'll have a break. But if they don't, if we don't need a few minutes, it's been 4 games. It's been 4 games. So,
I mean, no one in the chat would ever request a break, so it was a little bit of bait, so that they would think that they won the vote, and that's why we did it. So the delay doesn't matter, right? Because there's no way that anyone or the majority would vote for a break. But you ruined it, Nate.
I did. Yeah. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do, break. It's Friday. Whatsoever. It's Friday, and it's
Friday.
What time is it? It is 3:42 p.m. on Friday, which means it's almost time to party. So
that's nice. Well, it is 6:40.
I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself, but I am also very worked up because the underdog, who should definitely not have been able to take Scarlett all the way to game 5, has, and now all of a sudden it feels like you know, we might have something crazy. Even if Scarlett wins this is a pretty awesome game by DisK. That, like, the Adept all-in, on one hand, you can kind of see where that's something that can really get you, but he just played a straight-up macro game and got it done off of really good harass and got a lot of work with that. I don't think Scarlett was ready for that at all. So if DisK can play a macro game like that, then hell yeah, sign me up for another.
Sign me up. And we are signed up, apparently, because we're loading in right now. Oh, baby.
You think they planned that?
We're ready.
You believe that?
Can you believe it? Spawning for the final time today. Will she allow herself to be upset, or will she reclaim the throne of the Zerg? In the top right-hand side of the map, it is the Scarlett player. Scarlett. Whoa, that was a... Observer. Scarlett is... I was saying the color first. Sheesh.
And in the bottom left, spawning in as the blue Protoss player, he is DisK.
Discus. Jokes aside, great job today from our observer. I believe that Niall that has been joining us all day. He has been rather quiet. And yeah. to the rest of production as well, our wonderful host, and you, Nate, and everyone watching. It's been a great day, and this is the final match of it. Scarlett trying to do the nasty, perhaps, unless she just forgot the drone. It's a very odd thing to do, but it's going to be a proxy hatch. You love it? Wear it. DisK is going to be close and very fast to react here, as he's going to just try to process this out of the way with probes. Probably going to be chrono boosting a Scarlett as well. And the intent from Scarlett here is just going to be to delay this expansion further. Very likely that she's going to cancel and make an Evo chamber when she needs to. There is one thing that you can do here as the Protoss player if you want to force an error, is to sync up all of your probes damage with the Scarlett, and then you kind of have like a burst of damage that can be unexpected. But I mean, you know, it usually shouldn't work. It's just something that can catch your opponent off guard if you want to look for the little details.
When you're like someone who really tries to tilt your opponent a little with those blocks, like I know that feeling too, because you do an engineering bay block and you're just timing it with the one stalker or whatever. But when the other player waits, when they have a second unit but they wait for that last like 2 volleys where you're like, I'm gonna get it at the last possible second, and then the second hit comes in that you weren't ready for, it's like, oh. My money just went. I just lost. I just lost 125 minutes.
It's horrible, yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrid. But yeah, Scarlett's going to use the drone as well that she sent across the map to go back and take the third with it. So efficiency there, as she arrives perfectly in time for that. And now she is going for link speed. So really, while that was a fun little potential start, it is of little consequence. It just makes the game a little bit murkier, a little bit dirtier, where players aren't going to be exactly as familiar as they would be otherwise, right? So kind of throwing things a little bit off beat whilst not really accomplishing anything too great in her favor or too deterrent for her goals.
Yeah. And this, I don't even know what to say at this point, though, because that last game was DisK playing well, good control. He didn't overextend. And every time that those Lings tried to make a big catch, he actually did get away. He was able to make the most of every opportunity that came towards him. And that's just really cool to see, because the chaos, the hecticness of it, I think he's starting to realize that, and this is, I think, the lesson that you have to learn when you play against Scarlett. Every time that you are looking at your units or your harass or whatever and moving across the map, she wants to be distracting you, whether it's with a little run by or a poke on a base. It's got to be something, because again, that multitask is so difficult in many cases, and DisK seems to be adjusting to that very well. And oh, I love this robotics bay, warp prism, whether it's a disruptor or a colossus. I'm down.
I love it. I actually really like it, especially because it is the final game. Because you know, it's not a usual strategy. It's already an offbeat game, and this is the sort of thing that even perhaps to a player of Scarlett's stature can get underneath your skin. You know, if you get hit by one of those, you kind of can lose the game in an instant, which, you know, is nerve-wracking. Whereas landing those shots, I mean, it feels more rewarding than it feels like scary. Like, will I land it? You know, it doesn't feel like it's gonna break you. But if you're jittery, if you don't know whether it's gonna land, if you think that's gonna determine your tournament life and give you one of the worst possible runs of your career, leave it up to the disruptors to be nerve-wracking. Yeah,
amen to that. And I'm being informed by a StarCraft analyst who puts a lot more work in than me. I believe the name Zombie Grub says that this is also the same map that he did the 2-base disruptor drop when DisK played versus Scarlett in the group stage, which of course I wouldn't remember because I was there, but thankfully someone is professional enough. Someone is professional enough to carry that torch for me. So
amazing.
This is something that DisK has done before. He's run this simulation many times, and he will again. So he's become very proficient at it.
Yeah, I love the disruptor speed or the warp prism speed as well. That's going to make it so the disruptor can move freely and very difficult to catch by anything on the ground. And even for Muta, you can kind of run away with the warp prism and be mostly fine, right? Unless it's overwhelming numbers and whatnot. Of course, you have to get off the other side of the map, but this gives DisK a long leash of time before he has to retreat. And Scarlett is going into roaches, which are the juiciest target that DisK could aim for as well with this, believe it or not. He's of course going to angle to get the drones first and foremost, but upon seeing the roaches, I'm sure his eyes will glow And he will think, that is what I want. Queens also could be a target here. Gonna go for a double shot onto them, but Scarlett with a beautiful split will only end up losing one. Inevitably.
It's that chip damage though, right? I think especially the queens, when you're doing a disruptor drop like this, every little bit of damage onto that prism is more you're gonna have to wait for the shields to come back even after the cooldown. But at least by eliminating that small piece, it's going to make the job of these two queens just a little bit harder since it's by themselves. And let's see what these Novas can do. Coming out. It's not quite as much that time, and the queen does manage to live.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool position from DisK because it was a double threat where you could go after the queens or after the drones. But Scarlett's too smart for it, so she pre-moves the drones and then gets ready to micro the queens alone, right? So the drones weren't under threat when she started moving them, but she knew that she was gonna have to do 2 actions or suffer the consequences of DisK potentially deciding to go after one or the other. So now with a very strong follow-up push, I personally really struggle to deal with stuff like this. Let's see what Scarlett can do. There's a lot of sentries, but already the Ravagers are ready, and they have to bile here to make room. The DisK is looking very powerful on this position. One big disruptor shot could be game determining. On the other side, Scarlett's trying to set herself a win condition in killing the third base. That means if she holds, she can win this game and most likely will. She will forfeit as a result this base, but she already has another base that is ready to be mined at the triangle third. So now she has to look for a surround. She has to minimize the effectiveness of both disruptors and force fields in that process, as well as the Colossus actually. So she needs to kind of look for that surround. She needs to rely on the vials. And I mean, it's on DisK. He is the one who has to push, and he has to kill his opponent in the next minute or so.
Scarlett is going for a little bit of a sandwich, though. Great force fields to block off the right side, and those Ravagers do take at least one bile. One bile did hit the sentries. The second one is going to start to clear them out, so not a whole lot of energy left, but does actually manage to get a few more there. And that Colossus kind of getting stuck shooting at a random roach that was stuck and pulling back. And yeah, this was everything for DisK, but the meat of the army has been chewed up and spat out by these Roach Ravager defense of Scarlett.
Yeah, happy for the Queen of Blades, sad for the underdog here who will end up falling. And after his third fall, like I said, that was the win condition that Scarlett set herself. There is no coming back from this for DisK. He is just processing the loss at this point. And unfortunate, after an attack that looked very powerful, perhaps the force fields weren't as good as they could have been. Perhaps the disruptors were used a little bit too early. But ultimately, I think it was a good shot that he gave himself. He put it all on the line. And I love to see it. It was a great effort this entire series from him. And I am just trying to do a long-winded kind of talk leading up to the GG, but it looks like it's not going to pan out for me.
No, this is the part where if I was Todd, I would just be doing the circular motion with my hand for you to get the GG moment, but then it just never comes. There's no blink here, so the Prism is really the only micro tool that is available. And it's against speed roaches with +1. I certainly can't fault him for trying to take one last punch, but this is, it's not going to work. So well played here. DisK did push her to the limit, but Scarlett will win it. GG, a 3-2 victory. Certainly much